director of the museum. Thank you all so much for being here today. This is a special event that we have for our supporters and our members and our friends of our curator. And I just really want to express my gratitude for Amy Long and her wonderful concept that she came up with. And also to the NUMU staff, Cristiano, you work tirelessly to make these things a reality, and just thank you so much for all that you do. And special thanks to our sponsors, the Babic Foundation, the Town of Los Gatos, and the Borgadig Foundation. You guys also make it happen, so thank you. And with that, I'm just going to pass it on to Amy so she can talk a little bit about this wonderful exhibition that we're in.
Well, thank you very much for being here. I'm very excited. I had this idea for this exhibit actually several years ago. I had heard about the Ted Sahl collection. After he passed, the photos were donated to the San Jose State Archives. There were roughly 12,000 photographs that have been donated at the archive. It's crazy. At the time, though, they were not processed, so I was not able to access them for an exhibit, so it kind of fell by the wayside. And then through a conversation with Cristiano and Kim, the idea came up again, and luckily the photos have been processed, and yay, we were able to access them. Now, I do want to go back to that number, 12,000 photographs. But before I get to that number, actually, I should, if Barney can just step aside really quick there. Let's just take a look here. This is Ted. This is our photographer. This is 4 portraits of him at different times in his life. Ted is a bit of an enigma. There are people who have met him, who knew him, but information on him is a little tough to come by. I think people in this room can agree to that. It's just that he was everywhere, but a lot of people didn't really know him too well, so we don't have a lot of deep background information on him, but we do have his photos. And I did have opportunity to go to the San Jose State Archives and go through his collection, which was also more than photos. I did get to see papers and letters, journals. He wrote a lot of poetry. He had manuscripts. He had a lot of writing. So I did spend time going through his work. And so I was able to sort of cull some information, just kind of get an idea of who he was, based on some of the things that I saw. And one thing that I definitely can say about Ted, and I'm sure anybody else who did casually know him, is that Ted was very, very dedicated to social justice causes. So he was born in 1927 and he came of age in the 1960s when a lot of people were obviously very concerned about civil rights issues, civil rights movement, Vietnam War. He was very passionate about the Vietnam War and about the government and eroding people's rights. And he decided to become a photojournalist he was kind of an amateur photographer, got into photography. So started taking photos at different events. And actually this top corner picture is him at the Mayor Moscone and Harvey Milk vigil, or memorial, funeral, after they were assassinated. But in the Bay Area, in the South Bay, he wound up attending a protest in Santa Clara, and it really struck him that this was an important issue that was happening in the country. So, we think Stonewall, think about Stonewall, and that was a huge launching point for Pride and for, LGBTQ community really coming out and pushing back against, people trying to suppress their rights. Stonewall was not really the first time a bar had been raided. It wasn't the first protest. It wasn't the first time people had tried to push back, but it did get the attention that was needed to kind of light that fire nationally. There definitely had been other instances, if you were wanting to learn about the history, there's been lots of instances where people were extremely brave, even here in the Bay Area, San Francisco, other cities, where they did fight back against police raids and oppression. So that history is definitely much deeper than Stonewall, but Stonewall really kind of watched that. So, in the Bay Area, San Francisco was getting a lot of attention, rightfully so. San Francisco, we know a lot of that history, and also the advantage of being in a city is that you have these kind of focused areas. So in San Francisco, you had Polk Street, you had the Castro, and you had these concentrated areas too where people could really where, media could focus on, you could organize, it was very high profile. But it didn't mean that in the suburbs or in some of these smaller communities that the activism and the importance of civil rights and political activism and just community support were not any less important. So here in San Jose and Santa Clara, that is true. And San Jose is a massive city. It's certainly spread out, but there was just as much need for people to be involved and to get together and also to fight back. So this is our buddy Ted, so we're going to say thank you, Ted. I want to say hi to Ted. I wish he could be here. He passed in the mid-2000s, but he can't, and I hope wherever he is right now, he's looking down on us and knows that we are honoring him, so thank you, Ted. So I do want to, we're going to start this tour, actually, and I feel very lucky. I'm a little nervous here because we have a local celebrity sitting right in front of her wall. Okay, this is Wigsy. Wigsy, we want to honor her because Wigsy is a longtime Los Gatos resident. She has been living here since she was like 15 years old, going back to the 1950s, has lived in this town. Wigsy is a hero in the San Jose, Santa Clara LGBTQ plus community. Do you want to tell your story or shall I tell it?
I can do whatever you'd like.
Want to give the short version of how you got involved in the community?
Sure. Well, I am obviously a member of the community, so I thought I'd want to get involved.
There you go. At a time, though, when it was a little risky to get involved, but sure.
Yeah, I want to say a few things about Ted because I think it's really important to know a part of him that was really meaningful to us. In the first place, Ted would take pictures of our various events, and sometimes that was not hard because there were only 3 or 4 people that would get together because nobody wanted to be seen in public. And then we grew and grew and grew. But Ted would always come, and the rumble in our community was, we didn't know. He was so quiet about who he was. He was a very quiet guy. And if you sat and talked with him, it was really interesting because he had an interesting history and knew a lot. But for the most part, like people who take pictures, he was behind the camera. And so our community really embraced him because he was the first person that was willing to come out and show our pictures. And if you associated with us, you were that kind of person. If you had friends, I remember being on campus, I was at San Jose State for a long time, and one of the things on campus, if anybody walked around campus with me more than once, then they were having an affair with me. Never happened with the guys. Not to say anything but the guys. Anyway, I really am thrilled that you're doing this because I think Ted is a remarkable human being and really needs to be remembered and thought of. And the fact that he took these pictures, but he also took a lot of pictures from other things. I mean, if you went through, I'm sure, did you go through the?
I did.
Oh my God.
I spent a lot of time on the couch.
Yeah, you had a lot of time.
I did. Well, we also have to remember, this isn't digital. This is film. This is his own money. His own money paying for this film and developing it. I mean, that's got to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, by the end of his life. So that right there is really remarkable too.
Yeah, it was really after he pretty much retired when he began to get sick that we even knew that he had a partner. Because he was very quiet about that. He never talked about that. And I always felt a little sad about that because we tried to embrace him, but he wasn't really big on being embraced. So he's a remarkable person, and I think we ought to all remember him very much.
Thank you for adding to that. So Wigsy, what I wanted to say is, I'm actually nervous even telling your story because you're sitting in front of me.
Stories about me, they aren't true, go ahead.
Wigsy, anyway, again, lived in Los Gatos as a teenager and went on to get a degree in social work, and was working for an organization in Palo Alto, and at one point had a girlfriend, and it it was presented to the board that Wiggsy had a girlfriend, and oh my stars, let's clutch our pearls, was actually basically told you could leave quietly or they would ask you or make you leave. And Wiggsy basically said what?
Well, I said, fuck you. Friday, and then Monday was the staff meeting, and I said, I'm gonna tell them outright. So I told the entire staff, and that really was my coming out. Prior to that, I'd been really closeted because I lived in a world that was very punitive. I remember I raced cars for a while, I raced sports cars for a while. One of the things, I like to do that because it was disturbing to my family. At one point I was out at a race and had this friend that was racing also, he raced another car. And I remember standing there listening to people talk, and he was talking behind me. He said, when I first knew Wiggsy, I thought she was one of those. I was a those. Very good. And I was so proud of having passed. I look back on that and I think about the kids that are out there that nowadays can more easily come out, or why people finally came out. I know people in their 70s who came out. And I mean, it was really an important message for me. I was kind of ashamed of myself for being so proud of that, but it was an important lesson for me. So I think the lesson is don't lie. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you do.
So on that, she came out, woo, and wound up working at San Jose State. Was a professor, taught at San Jose State for many years. Started the first LGBTQ club, correct?
Well, I think it's saying that Ken, where is Ken? Oh, there he is.
Ken. By the way, Ken Yeager, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Ken and I started this rumble, if you will. And without him, this never would have happened.
I was going to get to Ken, by the way, but yes, that's true. So yeah, between Wiggsy and Ken, I was going to get to Ken. We do have two celebrities in the room. Both of them really got together and started Baymax, started organizing for political action organizations to really help fight some of the local measures that we'll get to help support candidates that were LGBTQ friendly. And again, on San Jose State campus, you were out. I mean, you were completely out, walking around, and that was a big deal. You were the first professor that was out and living your life and opening clubs and really supporting LGBTQ plus students, and made a huge impact in San Jose State, but also then moving into San Jose and Santa Clara politics again with Ken Yeager over here. Raise your head, Ken. So we wanted to honor Wiggsy because she is a Los Gatos native and we're a Los Gatos museum. So, but it does go beyond our borders, but we're really proud that you are from the town of Los Gatos. So this section, which will still include Wiggsy, is the section that is about really some of the politics and the activism. And I have some of these photos here. Some of these were this was actually taken at a national march in Washington, but I really liked the signs on here. It says, Baltimore parents of gays, my son is gay and that's okay. Some other marches. This is proponents of same-sex marriage. These are Campbellite individuals. This is marching in what they call the Gay Day Parade, San Jose Gays. This, I really love this picture. I think it's really powerful. I mean, you've got a lot going on here. You've got Native American, you've got gay Native American, and you've got gay Native American holding the American flag. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm checking a lot of really great boxes. But one of the things, the other thing that is really important that what Wiggsy and Ken and other people, it wasn't just them, but a lot of people who really contributed, was this fight against these local measures that were happening. So San Jose is like a microcosm of what was happening nationally. So we have, at the time, in the 1970s, there's the rise of the religious right. And along with that comes the moral majority. And interestingly, there was a very strong and powerful moral majority organization here in San Jose. And there were two measures A and B. one for San Jose and one for Santa Clara, that was put on the ballot to try to prevent, or the point was to prevent discrimination against LGBTQ plus in housing and in employment. And so there was a lot of campaigns that happened, and with Wigsy and Ken, there was the organization BAMEC trying to fight these measures, and the rural majority, unfortunately, were very powerful. They had a lot of money. They had money not just locally, but nationally. So we're talking across the country, and history does repeat itself. We've seen this not too long ago. And unfortunately, when it was put to the vote, it was actually defeated. The voters voted it down, so it didn't pass, meaning that there were not protections for discrimination against LGBTQ plus for housing or employment. Eventually, this will get overturned, but this would have been in 1978, I believe. So then that just sort of lit more of a fire, so now they realize, okay, now we really do have to fight. So it's just the work that Wigsy and Ken did and others is so crucially important, because other measures are going to come up. There's going to be other measures like Prop 6, which was the California measure that fortunately was defeated, and you may know a lot of that from San Francisco and Harvey Milk. So Proposition 6 would have meant that teachers would have been either fired, or you would have not been able to be hired as a teacher if you were gay in California. And thankfully, that the voters voted that one down. Yay! Yay! Hooray! You want to add something to that?
Yeah, I want to say something. That as a result of all of this, it's important to recognize that Ken became a city council person, and that as a city council person was able to move some of the agenda for us from the council standing, and then went on to be in the board of supervisors and did the same thing.
Right, and also first openly gay elected official too. So
In San Jose.
in San Jose.
In Santa Clara.
In Santa Clara County. County. Not just San Jose. See, I told you, we have celebrities here. Okay. So then another, other propositions that came up, Proposition 64, Lyndon LaRouche. I don't know if anyone knows who Lyndon LaRouche was. Did I hear a hiss over there? I mean, his name does sound like a Marvel movie villain, but Lyndon LaRouche with help with Anita Bryant. I don't know if anyone is old enough or knows who Anita Bryant was. Trying to declare AIDS, just when the AIDS epidemic came out, trying to label it a contagious disease, which would have meant that would have given legal authority to either quarantine people or fire them for having AIDS. It would have given legal authority to completely discriminate. And while that may sound like they're doing it under the guise of health, I mean, it's a real veiled discriminatory action against people for being gay, basically. And luckily, that did not pass either. Yay! So, we got that. That's good. So, these are just some photos that I found of some of the activism that was happening. And this one right here in particular is of the BAMEC group, displaying the city of San Jose's first gay pride proclamation that was issued by Mayor Todd McHenry. But this was it took 25 years to 20?
Yeah, it first came up with City Council in '74.
Yeah.
And they voted for it, and then a week later repealed it.
Yeah.
And they tried to get it again, and it doesn't happen until, I think it was 91?
87.
87.
Yeah, but it took like 20 years.
They finally got Henry to do it. He had just gotten re-elected as mayor. He refused to do it during his first term, and I think maybe the reason why he did it was because he didn't have to worry about going before the voters.
Right, yeah. And based on, so I should back up. Ted actually wrote a book, by the way, that features a ton of his photos and a history of the LGBTQ South Bay history as well. It's really good, it's fascinating, it's great, it's really comprehensive, it's a really awesome book to have. I believe it's on Amazon, I can double check that. But he has a lot of information on this as well too. So, but yeah, this is a photo of them finally getting the proclamation in San Jose. And this was information I already discussed. So then these are some more photos that I found. These are some signs of the Beat Briggs campaign, Stop LaRouche. This is a photo of some workers, campaign workers watching results come in for Measure A and B. This is Harvey Milk, who was actually in San Jose. Based on the date of this, I believe this would have been, honestly, I think 3 or 4 months before he was killed, because this was 1978, summer of '78. So he was killed only a few months after that, like November. So this is a local female impersonator, Tom Young, portrait that Ted did. This picture over here is, this one is the, I believe this again is activist for Prop 64. And then we have some parade pictures too. Some of these are satirical against the moral majority, protesting floats that are actually politically protesting as well. This photo kind of struck me. I don't know exactly where this was taken, but there's some teenagers holding up a sign that say Teens Against Gays. Here's some people holding up a sign. This, I believe, was just around domestic partnership. Will San Jose's fate be like Sodom and Gomorrah? So some of the opposition.
It's
misspelled.
misspelled too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good eye.
I have a couple scans that I found in Ted's collection. This one is a letter from the Council of Churches. It's opposed to this one, which is a letter by the moral majority. You're welcome to read it after the tour, of their, horror and disgust of any legislation that might actually support LGBTQ rights. It's kind of interesting to read. But this is, I was happy to see this. I found this in a file, just like a couple files down, this was a letter written by an organization of council of churches in the area. I believe it was 70 some odd churches all signed a letter condemning the actions of politicizing religion against the LGBTQ plus community. So there were a lot of churches and people in the religious sect who were, together, who were, supportive of the community, which I thought was really cool. And then over here, we wanted to put some photos up regarding the AIDS crisis. So today, we're obviously very fortunate that people can live much longer. There's no cure, but people can obviously live much longer lives with AIDS. Still no cure. But at the time, if you were around or you remember, it was extremely tragic. Again, a lot of attention focused on San Francisco and some of the bigger cities, but San Jose and Santa Clara, this area, were no exception. It didn't discriminate against city versus suburbs. I mean, it was everywhere and devastated lives. Even here, there's actually a newspaper in that case with an article about how nurses at Valley Med were refusing to go into the patients' rooms if they had AIDS. They would not treat AIDS patients. So that was happening down here as well. This was a gentleman, his name is Jim Dar, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. He wanted his picture taken. He actually agreed to an article in the San Jose Mercury News. There's a full page expose of him, a photograph I saw of him. It's him from behind. He's extremely emaciated. He gave an interview to the Mercury because he wanted people to really see the effects of what was happening. So he really exposed himself at a time in 1986 when that was really, really brave to do. Because again, this is not a really popular time to be out, but also with the AIDS crisis, that also gave a lot of fuel to the fire for our friends in the moral majority and the religious right. So it was kind of a perfect storm for them, politically, for them to use that against the community. It was God's will, and so the AIDS crisis really kind of brought that home to our community as well, not just the cities. So here's some pictures of some vigils. The AIDS memorial quilt was at the Tom McHenry Center, the convention center. And this is a Walk for AIDS march, and this is Joan Baez participated with her brother, although I think it says cousin, but I honestly think it's a brother. Nephew.
Close.
A relative. Participated in this march. So, thank you, Joan. All right, this wall. We've talked about the politics, we've talked about some of the more serious stuff, but this is the wall that really celebrates culture and community. So there's so many fun pictures. It was hard to choose them all, but we wanted to definitely show that you know, amidst all this other stuff, is this awesome, robust community. And again, we talk about the suburbs, right? When I talk about the city, if you go to Polk Street and you can go to Castro, everything's sort of concentrated. You know, here you had to kind of drive to get to places. So gay bars are extremely important. Bars in general, they're community meeting places. They're places for, they're sanctuaries, they're places to meet people of like minds, celebrate. So gay bars in the area were super important. So are clubs, so are publications, so are organizations, be it political, social. And so these were just, and also pageants. There was a very robust pageantry that happened here, where they would elect an empress and an emperor every year. And they had San Jose, Mr. Leather San Jose. There's some contestants in their regalia. There were gay and lesbian youth support groups, the parades. So these are some of the features. This is actually at Gay Pride at Santa Clara Fairgrounds. There's a band playing. You can see how large the crowd is, which is really impressive. Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence from San Francisco, taking the train. You can land in San Jose. Pretty fun. They came down for something. I don't know what. Here's some female impersonators. Does anyone know who this is?
Divine.
Yeah, who said?
Divine.
It's Divine. Does anyone know who Divine is? Okay, if you don't, Divine is a very famous drag queen, actress, activist who was also featured in many John Waters movies and many other things. Divine actually performed at a gay bar that was in Campbell called Desperados. So Desperados, and I remember because I went to high school in Campbell and it was down the street from my high school. Desperados was in a mini mall. I don't even know if you'd call it a mini mall. It was like just a strip mall in the middle of the suburbs, and I mean in the middle of the suburbs, next to the food mart and maybe a laundromat. I don't even know, but talk about bold. I mean, to have, it was a small little bar, but to have a gay bar there was pretty, you know, risky, but they did it. And Divine performed there. So when I saw that picture, I got real excited because I was like, I remember where that was because it was Campbell, our little suburb of Campbell. So this was a New Year's Eve show. And then here's some other shows. Here's some people again from a New Year's Eve show. Here's some female impersonators, some of the pageants. This beautiful ensemble here, I love. There are some, and I also have some pictures here of a very popular local impersonator, female impersonator, Billy DeFrank. And I don't know if anyone here has heard the name, but Billy DeFrank was a drag queen performer who also did organized a lot of events to raise money for different organizations. Became very popular, did things in San Jose, also in Oakland, and they wound up, there's a center named after Billy DeFrank that is still in existence in San Jose, an extremely important center that helps support youth, LGBT+ youth in the area. They've been around since the 70s. They're just very important, one of the oldest organizations, and was named after Billy DeFrank. Billy DeFrank is no longer with us, but you can see how absolutely fabulous it was. And some other pictures. I love this one. I just love this picture. Look at that. But not only having fun, but I just love the look on their faces. They're beautiful. And then right behind Cheryl and Mike. What is happening here? Okay. Well, we found out that Ted also had other activities and interests. So just to show a little bit about his personality, these are some paintings that we got from History San Jose. I think they have about 12 paintings there. And these are some of his, he did some paintings that reflect some of his social justice views. So these are about the Vietnam War, and just trying to kind of show something else that he was interested in. In the case, we have some of his poetry. There were journals and stuff, lots of journals in the archives of his poetry. He wrote a lot. There were tons of pages, loose leaf pages and journals, and almost all of it had to do with social justice causes. He was definitely expressing himself through art and writing and painting, very passionate about things that were happening in the world. And then this last section I like to call, on paper, the working title for this was Everyday People, because I just wanted to show portraits of just people. You know, we're not just categorized. I mean, I keep saying LGBTQ+, I get it. But you know what? We're also talking just about people, right? So I thought these were just some really, really wonderful pictures of people that he took photos of in various places. And you can read some of the labels and just see who they were after the exhibit. And then we decided to conclude it with this. Just in closing, we just wanted to kind of let the visitor know that, you know, we really appreciate the not only just the volume, but the impact of his photos. This collection is extraordinary. I don't know if there is this many photos of any other LGBTQ community in this sheer volume. So, and without them, I mean, what would the recorded history be? It might be people's yellowed photo albums somewhere, or some photos in a drawer that were lost, but the historical record is absolutely extraordinary. So we're really lucky to have it down here. And we just wanted to kind of post a really brief reminder of that, while yes, it's history, we have come a long way, but I just wanted to say that that we are also sort of seeing a circle and a cycle again, repeating itself. So, and I believe Vigsy wants to say something.
I want to thank you for doing this. I think it's tremendous that you have made this effort to do this. And look at the people who are here, and not people that we ordinarily see at events. Excuse me, it's spreading around and getting bigger. I think that's wonderful. Also, excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to say one thing about today, what's going on, and what's going on for the gay, lesbian, bi, and transgender community is really ugly. What's going on for the Latino community and others within that realm is also really, really ugly. And what's really bothersome to me over the years has been really bothersome to me is that people don't vote. And that's why we have a 2-year-old in the White House. And I just want to say, if you have a chance to influence people to go out and to vote, your kids, friends, relatives, whomever, please, please, please do it. It's so important. And we have people like Ken, who was on the city council and the board of supervisors because people voted. And I know people tend to go, it doesn't matter, but it does matter a whole lot. Because this is gonna get really ugly for the next 3 years, 3.5 years. It's gonna be really terrible. It's gonna be terrible for people in the Latino and community. I'm reading the paper today with the stuff that's going on. That just, it hurts a lot to read that. It's very, very, very ugly. And, we're gonna be run by a 2-year-old for the next 3 years. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you. And I have it on here, vote. What you can do, vote. So yes, thank you for hammering that home. I just had a thought. I want to add, wanted to mention this in the beginning. If you want to know more about, too, the history, there's a fantastic website. There's Queer Silicon Valley, has a lot of really great history and background about the area. So if you want to know more, definitely check that out. Ted Sahl's book has information. And the museum in downtown, right? So do you want to give a little pitch on that?
Yeah.
Tell them where it is,
Yeah, this has been, I was turned out of the Board of Supervisors in 2018, and really since then I've been working on an LGBTQ history project for all the right reasons, so that our history isn't lost and all of that. And so there are various parts to it. The first one we did was this website. It's the only website that sort of records the history of our community, but it's really fantastic. It's queersiliconvalley.org. It's amazing. And then we had a big exhibit at History San Jose that we had up for a year. And then we did a documentary with any number of local people, and that's called Queer Silicon Valley. So if you just put in Queer Silicon Valley, you get all sorts of stuff. And then we opened a gallery about 1.5 years ago, and Cristiano spends some of his time there as well. And so we have a lot of material from the original exhibit that we had. We sort of broke down various parts of it. And then we have a rotating part of it. And our first exhibit was of the gay men's chorus and the women's rainbow chorus. And it's fun that they're going to be performing shortly. But now it's, so Wigsy and I did a BAMEC 41 years ago. And so there's a lot of similarities to the photos and sort of the story that we were telling that as well. And so we're open on Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 4, or special tours. I'm easy to get a hold of, but I'd love to have you come down and sort of see the political side of what was going on.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much done to wrap it up, but I meant to say this in the beginning, and I want to say, Kim already brought this up, but I need to say too, as the curator, I have to thank the museum and Cristiano. Are you around the corner? And all the staff, because sometimes it looks like when you see an exhibit, oh, you just put pictures on the wall. What's the big deal? It's like, no, really, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. It's so much more than you know. I mean, this is why people hire interior designers, because making a room look good is a lot of frickin' work. So I just want to say that thanks to my designers and the people who really helped put this together. So I know I'm up here, doing all the talking and getting the attention, but honestly, the staff has to get a good applause together. And thank you very much. I'm going to be around, and please go see the chorus if you have questions. And I want to really thank Wigsy and Ken for being here, because that is a huge highlight for me, and I really appreciate you guys coming down and filling in some. Good to go.